All right, welcome, senior home business family. Matt and Brittany are in the house, and it is the month of December 2025, and it's all about the holiday season. Today, we're going to talk about the holiday season as it pertains to seniors. Man, we cannot forget seniors during this holiday season. So, we're going to talk about how to celebrate seniors intentionally during the holiday season. I'm going to give you 5 points today. We're going to have three sub points underneath, and then we'll give you kind of a little bit of a snowflake, little bit of a statement about those sub points underneath each one. So don't leave us. We'd love for you to join and be a part of what we're doing today. And all the links are down below. We won't get into that right now, but if you want to know more about what Brittany and I do, and there's webinar links, there's all kinds of stuff down there below. But Brittany, what a great time of year to be able to celebrate seniors. And, we help seniors, your company, my company, and people across the country on a daily basis when they need assistance. And it's a great time just to reflect of, what seniors need during this holiday season. And, we talk a lot about ADLs, activities of daily living, and behaviors, and even preferences and things like that. But there's some emotional needs with seniors. I would think, I know with myself, I'm only 57. I don't know if that's only, or that's when I was your age, that 57 was ancient, but so I'm not there yet. But I would think there's some kind of emotional things going on. What do you think, Brittany, about the holiday season as it pertains to seniors?
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of guilt and also a lot of grieving that seniors do during the holiday season, as well as the families that work with seniors and have senior loved ones. I think guilt's a huge one that comes into play. And I just see the grieving of lost family, lost friends, lost home, lost environment. But I will say that I think it's one of my favorite times of the years to be working with seniors. I also think touring the communities during this time of year is amazing. You get to see all of the cool activities they do, and the fact that they are making their community like a family. So that way they don't feel as much loss and as much grief and those things during the season. So I just had one of my employees take a lot of pictures of all that Christmas decorations and all of the communities, because they're just really uplifting and very beautiful, honestly.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, our house is extremely decorated right now. No credit to me whatsoever. It's 100% my wife. So whenever you come to our house, it looks like a model home. Don't think it's me, even though I like things nice, but my wife does it all. And she's got exceptionally great taste. And you'll see that in the communities. The reason I bring that up. And, you'll see some creativity and just a lot, I enjoy it. I enjoy the whole thing about Christmas and the holiday season. So we're going to get into it, because talking about the holiday season, especially Christmas, as a kid, it's all about presents. And even as an adult, you have kids and you're meeting people, and it's all about giving gifts and presents, right? But I mean, think about with seniors, it's not so much just giving the gift of presence, but it's giving the gift of your presence, being there. And because seniors oftentimes, Brittany, are forgotten, right? I mean, you see this quite a bit, and I see it. It's, seniors I've placed over the years, they have family members that are actively involved and regularly seeing them, but there's a number of seniors that I care not to remember, think about how this all plays out. But a number of families, just over time, they just get busy and don't go by and see the senior as much as, their mom. I mean, they might have great intentions. I want to see her every day of the week, at least 15, 20 minutes. Then it turns into once a week, then once a month, and on special occasions and things like that. So given the gift of your presence, how important is that, Brittany, to a senior, you think?
I think it's very important. From my experience working directly in the communities, we always saw the joy and just happiness on their face when their loved ones came to visit, especially grandchildren and their great grandchildren. And we got all of the input of, they were getting ready for their daughter to come and getting their makeup on and whatever. Like, they just really got excited for their loved ones to come. And when I worked in the communities, you could tell the difference in their mood when they got to see their family. So it really was a big event. They share with everyone. And only even my clients, you can totally tell when the families are more involved and not involved, how much of a difference it makes in their happiness and how well they're acclimating in their new place.
Yeah, and when you're with the senior, I'll give you three Santa Clauses every time we get a point, and then a snowflake. So stay with us on each of these Santa Clauses and snowflakes. But the first Santa Claus is when you get your presents. Go ahead and slow down your pace. Seniors feel rushed energy immediately, right? And there's a lot. Slow down your pace. I'm thinking about the senior. Their pace is probably going to be slower, but I think when we come in, especially if it's in a family gathering, let's say it could be at home. It might not be an assisted living community. It might just be at home. And there's a lot of people there. And when you're just wanting to go around and greet everybody and say hello to everybody, interface with everybody. However, when you get to the senior, slow your pace down a little bit. Don't they're going to feel rushed. Like if you just go up to it, let's say it's my dad there, whatever. Hey, Dad, good to see you. All right. Okay, what's up, Bill? Hey, what's up? And you move on to someone else. He may not have had an opportunity to say a whole lot at that time. So slow down your pace. And then Brittany, talk about this. Sit with them, not around them. Eye contact matters, right?
Yeah, I would say don't be distracted too when you're with them. Make sure that you're really connecting and also slowing down to hear what they're saying, to not looking for the exit or looking for the door for when you're ready to leave or you're on to your next appointment or your next thing you want to do. So, yeah, I think it's important to really connect with them, not be distracted, not be on your phone, just really take that, whatever it is, hour, 2 hours, even 20 minutes to really connect with them more than just your average. I've seen families, and I'm probably sure we've all been guilty of just kind of sitting at grandma and grandpa's house or sitting at mom and dad's house in your own world. Take that time to really connect with them.
Yeah. And when you do that, I like this one coming up here. It's third Santa Claus. Let silence be okay. Connection doesn't require constant talking. And when you allow yourself to sit around and be with them, silence is okay. Don't take silence as okay, there's nothing to talk about, or they don't want to be with me, or this is awkward. They might be gathering their thoughts. I know, again, 57 years of age, man, I'm not as sharp as I used to be when I was your age, Brittany. It's just kind of things that typically they will slow down over time. So be with them, but let silence be okay. And the snowflake that's coming up is your time tells them they still matter. So whether you're talking or not, and I would encourage you to get them to talk more than you, is that your time with them lets them know they still matter. Just you being there, right? I went back to see my mom and dad a couple months ago, and and there was some things planned and not a whole lot planned, and most of the time it was either taking them out to eat or sitting around the house, talking and watching something with them or something like that. But I could tell during that time it was just me being there. That really was the meaningful piece. It wasn't so much where I took them, and I took them some nice places, but I don't hear them talk about the nice places. They talk about what we were, they mentioned what we were talking about at the house and the stories and something we saw on TV and we all laughed together. That's what they talk about. So, okay, let's get to the second one. Invite seniors into the experience, not the sidelines. Brittany, what does that mean to you?
I would say really involve them instead of just being there. I've had personal experiences of this where the seniors are kind of put on the back burner. I've seen videos of this where, we do have a lot of families that are growing where their grandchildren might be having children. There's just so many, the families grow so deep in generations that sometimes the seniors get left out or they don't get looked at, or everyone's like excited about all the new babies in the family, but they're not so excited about hanging out. I've seen this so many times. So I think just including them to make sure that they're not being kind of off put or just put in the corner with their, walker and their recliner. They're actually being involved in the holidays and actually making, they feel that when they're actually a part of the family, not just sitting in a recliner off to the side.
Yeah. I mean, the first Santa Claus would be ask them to help decorate or plan a meal. My mom would love that. Matter of fact, the church they go to, she's part of some committee and they get together and she helps disabled kids on Mondays learn how to cook. And then they have something going on Wednesdays, where it's the food bank or something other kind of thing. And super involved with all that. But all they did, the church would just ask her, would you like to help? And mom's passion is, one of her passions, cooking. So if you're going to ask her at her age, she retired, to be a part of something that she's fairly good at and she can give back to other people and see them smile, she's going to do it all day, every day. So you can do that when you're at home with the seniors, with your mom or dad. Invite their opinions and preferences. Now, Depends on what kind of senior you have here. Now, God bless Dad if you're watching this video. I don't invite my dad's opinions all the time because it may go somewhere you don't want it to go, right? You want the conversation during the holiday season to be pleasant. You wanted to stay off certain topics. You wanted to be, have some unity in the family and things like that. But invite maybe their preferences, right? And things that they're thinking about. Get their opinion on something and make sure it's not controversial or anything like that. But maybe it's over a football game. Who knows, right? And somebody makes a comment about let's pick on Jalen Hurts, all right, the Eagles quarterback, because he just threw 4 picks and fumbled the ball and was the first guy in the NFL history to ever throw an interception and fumble on the same play. So that's history. He made history. So you might want to get the senior if they're involved in that. My dad would definitely be involved with that. What's his opinion of it? Well, I'm sure he has a few choice words about what he thinks about that. But Brittany, the third Santa Claus, give them a meaningful role. Like I put storyteller, prayer host, or what I don't know. There's a lot of different things. How important is it for the senior, maybe at a party, a family gathering, to have some sort of significant role instead of just sitting there on the couch or the recliner and observing?
Yeah, I think it's like it makes them feel included, the main thing. So it really helps them feel included in the family. They feel important, they feel valued. So even if it's something little, I know personally in my family, like my grandma, we would have her do like one thing. So she would always get out. She had like these fancy dishes for Christmas. And so she would always get those out. Like she always had something to do. So I really do think it is important. And I think that it does go a long way. Again, you can see the difference from families that do include the seniors in these things and don't have them off to the sideline and the ones that really do. So I also think, not to get on like a rabbit hole, but I think it really helps with their cognition, in general, it really just helps their overall health.
Absolutely. I got the second snowflake being participation keeps seniors emotionally engaged. Observation isolates. And a lot of times, we all get at these certain family events and things, and there's some people that are just our favorite people to speak to and hang around with. And I just make it a point this year, myself, Brittany, everybody, that if you have elderly, you have older loved ones that are there, make it a point during that time that you go sitting next to them or across from them and have a cup of tea or have whatever, and just engage in a conversation with them. Not just assuming they're okay, like, okay, well, grandpa's okay because he's sitting in the recliner and he's comfortable and he's watching maybe a sports game or a movie or something. So he's comfortable. I'm gonna go over here and talk about what I want to talk about with the group I want to speak with, and go over there and be with that individual. I remember, Brittany, when I was a kid, every Sunday we'd go over to my grandparents' house, my mom and dad's house, my mom and dad's parents' house. And I call him D-Dad, my granddad, would tell these outlandish stories every Sunday. Now, I know probably a portion of these stories were factual, but I guarantee you, he was the king of exaggeration. I mean, it just, snakes falling from the rafters into the soup, and there's all kinds of stuff. I'm sure some of that stuff didn't happen, but it was just the fact of going over there and how he appreciated. I could see in his face, and I really liked it even as a kid, listening to these stories. And it was almost like Ripley's Believe It or Not. It's kind of like getting your own in-person version of it. But he would just light up and he'd tell these stories all the time. My dad, it kind of carried down to him. He's got audio cassettes from years past where he's actually just hit play and record, right? So hit record on the thing, and he just began telling these stories so he could pass down these audio cassettes to me and to my kids and my kids' kids. And now I don't know how in the world we're going to listen to those things on cassettes. We have to get them, digitized or something. But it's just being with them. I think that's awesome. So the third Christmas tree is honor their stories and memories. Kind of flows into that. First Santa Claus is ask about holidays from their childhood. That'd be a cool lead-in. Like they're sitting there, and you can tell they want to talk, they want to engage, you want to be with them. Ask them something about their childhood. And hopefully it's a good story. I mean, I'm not trying to get it, drum up something that's bad and negative and it's going to be a Debbie Downer and things like that. But you want to make sure that you're engaged with them, but ask them, tell them about maybe you want to phrase it like, hey, Grandpa, tell me about an awesome, your favorite Christmas, what was one of your favorite gifts? What was one of your favorite times growing up? Maybe phrase it like that. So you kind of spin it the way you want something positive versus, hey, how was your Christmas growing up? Well, we had to walk in snow 5 miles to school and we still had to go to school on Christmas. And it's, you don't want all that stuff. So, Brittany, what about this one? Second clause, let them repeat stories without correcting. Boy, that's tough. I repeat myself sometimes. And when I caught my mom and dad many times being there, they would repeat themselves ongoingly. But I think it's important. And why would it be important, Brittany? Let them repeat stories without correcting.
I think making sure you don't embarrass them, especially in a social setting. If they continue to repeat the story, you don't want to call it out. Most people understand it. So I think we always say meet them where they're at, meet them in their world. So yeah, just let them tell the story. I've seen both ways where they do and don't, where families do and don't. And it can be tough. It can be frustrating when you've heard the same story 5 times. It's our initial reaction is, well, mom or dad, you already told me that, or grandma, grandpa, you already said that, or you start finishing the story for them because you've heard it so many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to make sure that they're not embarrassed.
Yeah, that's true. I've seen that quite a bit with other people. Be like, okay, I've heard the story. I've heard it 5 times. All right, you're right. You said it yesterday. You said that a couple minutes ago. Try not to do that. I have to admit, I've thought about that quite a few times, being with my mom and dad and things like that. But, I put down record stories or take notes for future generations, what my dad has done, how we're going to get all the information off audio cassettes. I have no idea. But, do this kind of things. I think that's important to kind of pass along, would be traditions and things like that. And so I got the snowflake here, Brittany. When seniors share their story, they're reminding themselves who they are. And I don't know, speak on that a little bit, because I think it's not just we're validating them as a person, but because, they're already important. They're a human being that they're creating God's image, and it's they've experienced life to the fullest. They could be 85 years of age or whatever, they've maybe gone through World War I, or they, there's a lot of different experiences. And it's just, I think it's important that we let them share their story.
I think so. It's easy to think of like your grandparents or any senior loved ones of just like an old person, right? We hear that all the time. Oh, they're just an old person, but they have so much behind them, that so much great advice, so much great stories, that it would be disgrace not to listen to these things. So I think they kind of lose their sense of self, like you mentioned, or their purpose or what they've been through. So allowing them to kind of rechannel that. And I think you can learn so many things from the elderly. So I think it's really cool to let them do that. And it gives them, again, a sense of self. I also think, like you mentioned, traditions. I love when people like recipes and things that they did. I've heard so many families and people say, I really wish I had my grandma's recipes and stuff. So allowing them to do that and keeping their tradition in the family, I think gives them a sense of importance too.
Absolutely. And the 4th Christmas tree is celebrate them where they are, not where they used to be. Even though you want to hear the stories, but make sure that you appreciate them for who they are. The way they look, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they eat, the way they socialize, the way they, whatever, just appreciate them for who they are. And that is going to be just a huge lifter for them. It's, again, let them tell their stories and listen to their stories without interrupting them, without, like we said, without letting them know, hey, you've already told me the story 3 times. Listen to the story again. And then maybe move the conversation as such where how you appreciate them for who they are right now and what they mean to you. That would mean the world to them and your family. First Santa Claus is adjust expectations without lowering respect. So that's a hard one, because sometimes our expectations are like so high and we don't want to engage in a conversation with them because we're like, oh, okay, I don't want to hear all that same stories again. But then if you adjust your expectations so low, it could be kind of you're lowering some respect. So there's a check and balance there. Does that make sense, Brittany? What I mean by that is just kind of you want to be, respectful, but you don't want to lower you don't respect them just by lowering your expectations so low that you're just kind of, oh yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah. You really want to engage with them.
Yeah. Meet them where they're at. Probably is the best thing. Wherever they're at, just meet them, regardless if it's cognitively or physically even. I think this could play into physical. I see this a lot of their expectations for their loved ones might be that, let's say they did a turkey trot. This is kind of out of there, but like turkey trot during the holidays or a 5K or a walk for Christmas that the family did every year, and the senior can no longer do that. I've seen that they're just so disappointed by that and not looking at different like adjustments for them and making sure that maybe they can still be at the finish line, or maybe they can still, do the home cooking for everybody when they're done with these family events. So I've seen that over and over. And I think it's just physically and cognitively being able to connect with them, just adjust things. Whether it's, we used to go to uncle's property 2 hours away, that there's 5 steps to get in the home. Maybe you adjust things and not have it there. There's just stuff that you can do to keep them included, not with, keeping your expectations where they're at, not lowering them too low, but also just adjusting and making accommodations for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was thinking of a story right now about my great grandmother, and didn't know her that well. And it's a person I saw once a year, and I was probably like 12, 13 years of age. And this lady had no money, no money. I mean, just about as, poor as you can come. And every year, but she would still make these sugar cookies and put 3 raisins on it, and she did it for Father, God the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And the sugar cookies are fantastic. Some of the best cookies I've ever had in my life. And then she had this root beer she would do, but she had a well. And because I think it was because of the well or something, the root beer was god awful. I mean, so it went from god awful root beer to sugar cookies. But what I'm saying about her is, like, she was really, really poor, but did all that for everybody to come over her house. All the grandkids were there playing outside, whatever. And she somehow, I don't know how she did this, but got a gift for everybody that came over. And my gift, again, I was 12, 13 years old, and my gift was like a plastic truck. You probably would be the equivalent of giving somebody that's 3 or 4 years old. But the point was just the thought behind it, that she actually went out and thought about me and bought a plastic truck. And I just think that's so important, as you come in here, you focus on connection over perfection. And it's just focusing on a connection with the seniors, and don't worry about the perfection of it. Like, everything has to be just right. And because it's not going to be just right all the time, and accept changes without highlighting loss, right? So whatever the changes may be. So the point would be, honor the season they're in, not the season you wish they still were still in, right? So again, you want to honor what they've gone through, but appreciate who they are today. And it's sometimes more difficult to look past where they are, and I don't know. It's kind of a mixed bag, because I think about my parents a lot too. And I'm talking about this, is like, I love them who they are today. And then part of me still kind of remembers who they were, and, and maybe expect them to still be able to do certain things, but they can't. And I see this with families sometimes, especially when, the family wants the senior who has multiple ADLs, multiple areas need to be cared for, and they want them to go to the best assisted living community around, that's got all the entertainment, all the activities, all the whatever, and mom can't really enjoy that. And I think it's part of the daughter, son that really wants their mom or dad to be a part of that. And then part of it is they kind of remember mom or dad way back when they could do that. And so anyway, kind of enough of that. But yeah, just kind of honor the season, Brittany, that they're in, and not the one you wish them still in. Okay, speak on this one, Brittany. The last Christmas tree is create moments that last longer than the holiday.
Yeah, I love that. Not just showing up just for the holiday or being with them just for the holiday, making sure that they can still be involved beyond it. I know that a lot of families have these big gatherings over the holidays. They see mom or dad, they see grandma or grandpa, and then it goes silent. They don't follow up. They don't go visit them, whether they're at home or in their community. I always say holidays should be kind of the start of essentially like the new year. So let's plan lunches more often. Let's go plan to take grandma or grandpa or mom or dad to ice cream every once in a while. So I think it should be a spark that you're seeing them and you're involved. So you should just use that to keep staying in their life afterwards. I do see a lot of times families only come around during the holidays. I'm sure we've all been guilty of that to some of our family. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
So just making sure that that's another connection to continue instead of just showing up for Christmas, just Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, some practical things you can do: take photos and print them for the room. Like, they're in assisted living, or maybe an independent community or memory care, whatever it may be, or might just be their own house. Maybe they're still independent, but you can take some photos and print them and, put it up for their room. I mean, I think it'd be awesome. And so plan follow-up visits, calls after the holidays, continue traditions in simpler ways. And the point of being this, memories don't end on December 25th. They carry seniors into the new year. And the older you get, the more you appreciate time and the more you appreciate holidays, because in reality, it could be their last holiday. In reality, it could be their last Christmas. I heard something that his name is Jesse Itzler. So if this is where I got this saying from, but he always talked about how he said, man, I thought for years, like, hey, I'm 35 and he's about my age now, but I'm 35. So, I got like 30 more years with my dad, or I got 40 more years with my mom. Then he started doing his head going, wait a minute. If I see them like twice a year, I don't have 30 more years. I got 60 more visits. And so you come down to that. Like my mom and dad, see getting down to once a year now. Well, they're up in age. I don't know when their time is going to be up. Hopefully it's a long ways away. But if it's next year or two, I don't have 2 more years with mom and dad. I got 2 more visits. So it's kind of put it in perspective. But so again, the memories don't end on December 25th. They carry seniors into the new year. So just enjoy the holidays. We're going to keep talking about the holidays with seniors and getting some practical things, how in upcoming episodes of where, seniors, how do they feel emotionally is one of the other things I want to talk about later on in a different video. How do they cope with the holidays, especially when they're in isolation, especially when they are, no family's present, right? No family's coming by, don't have family's not around, or they just don't come around as often. So, but anyway, we love seniors. This is what we do. It's what Brittany does on a full-time basis at Lending Hand, a senior home business. And we'd love for you to be a part of what we do. And if you ever wanted to work out of your house and help seniors at no cost, no obligation, and you can make a fairly good amount of money doing this. I mean, you can just drop down and click the link, watch the webinars, schedule a consultation call with myself, and ask us any question. We'd love for you to be a part of it. So until next time, God bless.